Welcome to part 4 of our cookie series with the tiny stove and the ninja. Calling all chocolate lovers. Indulge your cravings with the rich and sultry flavors of this delicious cookie, dark chocolate brownie. Now you might call it a cookie, a brookie, or a crownie. Whatever you call it, just don't call it late for dessert. You ready? Let's go. We've already started with the browning of our brown butter. So you'll take 3 tabs or 3 tablespoons of butter and you brown that on your stove. No double boiler? No problem. Use a pot with some water and simmer it with a bowl that fits the top. Just make sure that the water doesn't touch the bottom because it could scorch that beautiful chocolate. I'm using Callebaut chocolate. It's a very fine Belgian chocolate, but remember, use whatever chocolate you love, the one that you enjoy the flavor. And you remember that brown butter? There it is. We pour it right in and we mix it together until it's well incorporated because we want some of that bold, nutty, brown flavor to really just meld in with the flavor of this fine Belgian chocolate. We use 9 ounces of this fine Belgian chocolate. Mix it together until smooth, and then you'll put it to the side so that it can cool. Now, let's move on to our stand mixer. You'll take 5 tabs or 5 tablespoons of butter, and then you'll take some brown sugar, 3/4 cup of brown sugar, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar or white sugar, and you'll mix that. Do it for about 2 to 3 minutes. And before you know it, it'll look just like this. You're starting to cream it together. And then make sure you scrape down the sides as needed. Then add 2 room temperature eggs, a tablespoon of good vanilla, and whisk it up. Make sure you mix it so that it becomes a little bit more aerated. Now you'll take 3/4 cup of flour. Now I used bread flour, but you can also use all-purpose. And I used 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, which is extra dark. It's the one that's called the Cocoa Trader. So it's a really black cocoa. And you'll mix that together with a teaspoon of espresso powder, a teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. You remember that melted chocolate? We mix it in with our whipped butter and sugars just until incorporated for about 1 minute. And then you bring in that wonderful dry ingredient. Remember, that is our flour, our cocoa, espresso powder, baking powder, and salt, just until combined. It looks good. See how dark and rich that is? And it's going to get darker as it bakes. That's why I love the Cocoa Trader. Now I'm going to cover and just put it in the fridge for about 5 or 10 minutes. But do you remember how we turned it up to 11 before? Well, let's do it again. This is white chocolate. So we're just cutting it into small pieces so that we can put it right in our cookie dough when it comes out the fridge. But now we're going to turn it up way beyond, over 9,000. So if you watched the last video with our snickerdoodles, if you haven't, you can watch the video by clicking the card up above. What we're doing here is our cinnamon. This is mixed with our cinnamon brown sugar icing put some of that Cocoa Trader cocoa powder and the leftover chocolate, and we mix that together so that we're going to use it a little later. But now we pulled out our Brownie Brookie cookie dough, and we're adding in that white chocolate. Oh, that is going to be delicious. But let's add a little more chocolate. That's that fine Belgian chocolate, that Calabat. But a little more. Yeah, let's add a little bit more. Perfect. Now we will just bring that together. We're going to mix that so that we can get some white chocolate and some fine Belgian chocolate in each bite. Now, this would be a good time to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. We'll bake it anywhere from 10 to 13 minutes. Be sure to check it early because each oven varies. I think we should do some more though, but let's just look a little bit closer. They've now cooled and they're going to be a little bit chewy, but you can let them set a little bit more like I did. I let them rest for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I brought them to a cooling rack, and now we're sprinkling with some Maldon sea salt. That's going to accent the richness of the espresso, the dark cocoa powder, the flecks of white chocolate, and then the additional Belgian chocolate we added to it. Let's see how high we can stack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh. 8. Oh, good. Yeah, I know we could even go higher, but let's leave it there. Let's just get a little bit closer. Let's start with a little bit of our Shaky B-roll. Oh, look at that white chocolate just poking out from the top, and you can see those flecks of Maldon sea salt that is just crystallizing on the top, and as it cools, it's going to adhere even more. But now we have a little surprise. Here's a question that I like to ask just about everything. Does it or will it sandwich? Well, yes, I believe it does. But we're not done. We had some additional cinnamon cream that we put on top. Now let's cut it down the middle. I wonder. Look at how tender it looks. Oh, look how ooey and gooey it looks. Hashtag ooey gooey team. I want to thank you for joining the Tiny Stove and the Ninja. We hope that you will like, subscribe, and share. We hope to see you again.